again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hi, I'm Rupha Ramani and you're watching Firstpost. Now, there's a lot happening around the world, and here at Firstpost, we will bring you a roundup of the key highlights, the patterns, and decode what to expect and what a certain development means. So keeping that in mind on the show, what were the best buys and the smart choices? Yes, we're speaking of the Indian Premier League auction that's taking place today. Which teams failed to create an impact at the table? Over in football, we bring you a breakdown of what to expect in the knockout stage of the Champions League, where the top 16 teams are ready to battle it out to go through to the next round. And then, of course, there's trouble brewing on the Olympics front with Russian President Vladimir Putin lashing out at the IOC. All of that on the show. But first, the headlines from around the world on Sports 360. We'll start with cricket. Pakistan have been fined for maintaining a slow over rate against Australia in the first test at Perth. The visitors have been fined 10% of their match fees. In addition, 2 points were deducted from Pakistan's total for the World Test Championships. The men in green will next play Australia in the second test starting 26th of December. Speaking of fines in football, Manchester City have been fined $150,000 by the English Football Association. Earlier this month, Erling Haaland and some of his teammates showed dissent to the referee during the match with Tottenham Hotspur. The referee had made a call against the Sky Blues in the 94th minute as Haaland was about to score. The referee's decision ended the match with a 3-all draw, attracting an animated reaction from Man City. In tennis, Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz will head to Saudi Arabia's capital Riyadh. Alcaraz will take on world number 1 Novak Djokovic there in an exhibition match on the 27th of December. The match will serve as a preparation for the upcoming Australian Open that's scheduled to start in January next year. And staying with tennis, Rafael Nadal's coach has expressed concerns about the Spaniard's return to the court next year. The coach has said that Nadal was unable to show the endurance levels needed to play more than 5-set matches during training. The coach further said, and I quote, "You can tell that the batteries are running low." Nadal is set to return to tennis after a gap of 1 year at the Australian Open in 2024 after a hip surgery. And Formula One, Alpine Racing has announced that they will have a new car for the 2024 season. Alpine's technical director Matt Harmon says that the new car has been named A524. Alpine Racing had a subpar racing season in 2023. They had only 2 podium finishes and ended the championships ranked 6th. Now, the Indian Premier League has grabbed all attention in India with the auction taking place in Dubai today. The auctions, of course, were held for the first time outside the country. And the other first was that a woman auctioneer was overseeing the proceedings at the Indian Premier League. Malika Sagar was the auctioneer for the mini auction, but it was no mini auction going by the kind of money and the bidding wars that certain players were inciting. And a lot of the key patterns we predicted was very evident at the auction as it progressed. It started slow. The first batch or the first set did not get too many bids or too many teams jumping right in, but as the trend that we always see often in auction tables over the years, as the batches and the sets went on, the bidding and the interest were just that much more frenetic. Just when you thought the biggest talking point took place in set number 2, the all-rounder set or the second session of the auction, came the whammy in the third. Now, Pat Cummins first made all the headlines. He broke the bank, triggering a bidding war that went on for many minutes between Chennai, Bengaluru, Mumbai and Hyderabad, before Hyderabad brought him on board with 20.5 crores. That's almost $2.5 million. What obviously makes this huge buy is that the franchise could also be looking at Pat Cummins as a captain in place of Aiden Markram. That's something that could happen. That's a possibility, an option that's open for them. Now, we spoke about Pacers being a big draw at the auction this time, and that was evident as well, with a lot of the Pacers getting enough interest. Let's go with the Indian fast bowlers first. The Pacer who garnered the most was Harshal Patel. Both Punjab and Gujarat went at it, but Punjab Kings won the battle to pocket Harshal Patel for nearly 12 crores or $1.5 million. A big buy that. And alongside Arshdeep, that looks like quite a deadly bowling pair. Few other Indian fast bowlers who got some attention, of course, Shardul Thakur, who went back to his home franchise, Chennai Super Kings. Umesh Yadav went to the Gujarat Titans for 5.8 crores or almost $700,000. As far as foreign fast bowlers were concerned, the most expensive purchase was yet to come in. Alzari Joseph, who left Gujarat Titans surprisingly after such a solid season, went for a whopping 11.5 crores. That's just over $1 million to Royal Challengers Bengaluru, who were pretty smart through the day and being quite frugal with their purchases. Now, who were very keen on a fast bowler, as we know, going by their conditions, it isn't easy being a fast bowler in Bengaluru. And that's a great addition. But when Mitchell Starc's name was announced, there was quite the activity that followed. This was the longest bid. There was an intense battle first between Delhi and Mumbai, and then, of course, between Gujarat Titans and Kolkata Knight Riders that went right towards tantalizingly on the edge. Both very keen on a strong foreign fast bowlers in their ranks. He finally went for 24.75 crores. That's 2.9 million. Now let's quickly show you who the most expensive buys have been at IPL auctions over the years. Mitchell Starc's purchase by Kolkata was the highest ever. In the years that we have seen IPL auctions over, we remember how Yuvraj Singh's purchase back then was so talked about. So too Sam Curran and Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes, of course, became more of a chatter because it was an unconventionally massive spend by a team like Chennai, who don't usually splurge so much. But speaking of splurging, there were few who doled out to batters. The biggest buy in the capped batters list was Daryl Mitchell. Chennai staved off the competition from Punjab and Delhi to get Daryl Mitchell, making the core very Kiwi heavy. I say this because alongside Mitchell and Conway, they also got in Rachin Ravindran, the young all-rounder sensation who set the ODI World Cup here in India on fire. His base price was a very modest 50 lakhs and he managed to go for 1.8 crore Indian rupees to Chennai. And again, after Delhi and Punjab showed interest in that as well. Now, Rovman Powell is the other big buy. Rajasthan Royals were happy to get him for under 8 crores. Speaking of the Aussies dominating the auction, like we predicted, Travis Head was up there too, going for 6.8 crores. He was eventually snapped up by Hyderabad after a mini bidding war with Chennai. So what were the highlights of the patterns emerging from the auction? Much like what we've been saying here, Aussies were much sought after. A lot of interest and attention were paid to fast bowlers in particular. Pedigree did not matter as much as recency and form. So a lot of the big names did go unsold on the day. And a lot of the teams went with a core that they rely on. Chennai with Kiwis, Gujarat with Afghani players, Azmatullah Omarzai coming in for base price to join Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed. Speaking of base prices, someone like a Hasaranga going for a base price there to Hyderabad, they'd be really excited by that buy. Some of the key uncapped players who raked in quite a bit, Shah Rukh Khan, like we said, he would be joining his Tamil Nadu teammates Vijay Shankar, Sai Kishore and Sai Sudarshan in Gujarat Titans. Samir Rizvi went in for a huge amount to Chennai Super Kings. Shubham Dubey too was snapped up by Rajasthan, a Vidarbha player who has starred in Saeed Mushtaq T20 tournament. Quite some exciting talents there that all franchises have begun to recognize to make a part of their setup and groom them for the future. That was one massive trend which emerged from the day. In fact, certain teams that were frugal initially, when the big names came up, went on to put in the bucks with the lesser known players to be a part of their setup. And then, of course, it's up to how all the newbies gel up with the rest of the squad to firm up in time for the 2024 season that is scheduled to begin towards the end of March and go on till the end of May. Now, if you're a football fan, you've been waiting for the Champions League to enter the knockout stages, and there's good news. UEFA has announced the final 16 draws. Europe's elite clubs will battle it out for the top spot. Manchester City are the current holders of the Champions League trophy, and they will be the first ones to play the knockouts as they defend their title. The Sky Blues will face German club FC Copenhagen on the 14th of February next year. Some of the other matches to look out for are going to be Inter Milan versus Atletico Madrid. These two teams are almost even on paper, and both Inter and Atletico have won 3 matches each in their group stages. The other matchup to look out for will be between Spanish giants Barcelona and Italian club Napoli. Barcelona are coming into the knockout stages after losing to Mino's Antwerp. Meanwhile, Napoli have a lot to prove. They are the reigning champions of Italy, but they have never won the Champions League. And then, of course, there's Real Madrid. They have won the Champions League 14 times, the most among any European club. They've had a stellar group stage after going unbeaten, and they will look to repeat their glory. This year's Champions League has a lot to promise. For the first time in almost 2 decades, big-name players like Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar are not competing for the European title. The first leg of the round of 16 will end on the 22nd of February. Here's what to watch out for when the knockouts are here.
This year's Champions League has been a tournament of upsets. 7-time European winners AC Milan have been knocked out. Premier League giants Manchester United are also not in the running. Other prominent clubs like Newcastle United and Sevilla also did not qualify for the top 16. The group stages are over. UEFA has revealed the matchups for the knockout stages. 16 teams will battle it out to be crowned the European champions. The first match will be held on the 14th of February next year. This will be the first leg of the knockout stages. The second leg will be played in March. So who will be up against whom? Defending champions Manchester City will take on German club FC Copenhagen. The second match will be between 14-time European winners Real Madrid and RB Leipzig. French club PSG will take on Real Sociedad. German giants Bayern Munich are pitted against Italian club Lazio. One of the matchups to look out for will be between Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid. The only other English club in the Champions League apart from Manchester City is Arsenal. They will play against Portuguese club Porto. And the last matchup is between Spanish giants Barcelona and reigning Italian champs Napoli. Here are some of the teams to look out for in the knockout stages. Manchester City are looking good, rallying behind the striking skills of Erling Haaland and the coaching prowess of Pep Guardiola. Manchester City are looking to clinch their back-to-back Champions League title. The Sky Blues played exceptionally well in the group stages. They did not lose or draw a single match as they triumphed over every opposition. The only team that can give Manchester City a run for their money is Real Madrid. The La Liga giants are known for dominating the Champions League. They won the title 14 times, the most titles for any European club. In the group stages, Real Madrid decimated their opposition due to their young strikers. Real Madrid did not lose even a single match in the group stages. They will be carrying forward that momentum into the knockout stages as well. There are 3 clubs that can give stiff competition to Manchester City and Real Madrid. The first is French club PSG. Kylian Mbappe is their most reliable striker and he is known for turning games around quickly. Then there is Spanish club Barcelona. Barcelona have entered the knockout stages with a loss to Belgian club Antwerp, but they will be looking to bounce back and their head coach Xavi is confident. Another team that cannot be slept on is Germany's Bayern Munich. Harry Kane has been striking and scoring at will for his Bayern. They have all the elements of a team that can pull off upsets and lift the European title. Just like the group stages, the knockouts could also see some upsets. The 2 teams that are capable of doing this are Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund. Both teams entered the group stages on top of the pool. Arsenal and Dortmund both lost only 1 match each, and both the teams are capable of pulling sneak wins. However, Arsenal have been plagued with injuries. The good part is that they have enough time to recover before the knockouts begin in February.
Now, the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics is just about 6 months away, and it's already facing international controversy. That's because Russian and Belarusian athletes will be competing at the Games. Ever since Russia began its war on Ukraine, they've been blacklisted from international sporting events. And because Belarus allows Russians to use their land for the attacks, Belarusian players also got banned. The war has been on for almost 2 years now, and things are starting to change slowly. Sporting bodies are reconsidering their bans on Russia and Belarus. First, it was tennis. Players from both the countries were allowed to play as neutrals. Then it was FIFA when they lifted the ban, Russian clubs and the under-17 national team. Now it's the Olympic Committee. They are allowing Russian and Belarusians to compete as neutral athletes, except there's a problem. The athletes can compete in every sport except track and field. That's because the president of World Athletics, Sebastian Coe, disagrees with the International Olympic Committee. You know, the Russians aren't happy about this when President Vladimir Putin addresses the issue himself. He says that if the Olympic Committee is not clear about Russian athletes, then the Olympics will be buried. Putin is saying that now allowing Russian athletes to fly their national flag is not allowing them, in fact, is a political attack, something that he will not tolerate.
The world is excited for the Paris 2024 Olympics. The grandest of all sporting events is back in July next year. Hundreds of nations and thousands of athletes will take part. But it seems like the spotlight is already on two countries, Russia and Belarus. February 2024 marks 2 years since Russia started its war on Ukraine. When the war began, Russia and Belarus were blacklisted from international sports. But things are slowly changing. Tennis was the first sport to soften its stance, then it was FIFA. And now it is the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC. According to the IOC, Russia and Belarusian athletes can compete as neutrals. This means that they cannot sport or fly their national flag, and no team events either. Only individual events at sporting disciplines. But there are other restrictions too. The World Athletics body has raised objections to the International Olympic Committee's decision. Their president Sebastian Coe does not want Russian and Belarusian athletes to take part in track and field events.
No, you may well see some neutral athletes from Russia and Belarus in Paris. They just won't be in athletics. And the position that our sport took and has consistently taken is unchanged. So there's Franco, there's really not much. There's nothing more I can really add to that other than that it's a settled position. It's a position the council took. It's one that's endorsed by the executive board, and on two separate global occasions has been endorsed almost unanimously by the athletics family.
Sebastian Coe says that he is not against Russian or Belarusian athletes. He says the World Athletics body does not recognize neutral athletes.
I guess ours is, again, sorry Wakako to repeat myself, but ours is a settled position. We have made the judgment that there will be no neutral, there will be no fully fledged or even neutral status athletes. On the Friendship Games, I'm not getting too excited about that. We've had a couple of federations that have made inquiries, and we made it clear that it doesn't really fit within our own values and competition structures.
The stance of the Olympics Committee is not clear when it comes to Russia and Belarus. The Olympic Committee first allows them to compete as neutrals, but the World Athletics body would not allow Russia into track and field events. Naturally, Russia lashed out. Here's what President Vladimir Putin had to say.
Everybody knows an athlete is ours, regardless of flag. This is an obvious thing. This why is supported in principle that our athletes should take part in such competitions. But now we have to analyze carefully the conditions put forward by the IOC.
Putin says that the Olympic Committee is playing with the emotions of the athletes. Russia believes that the World Athletics body is trying to continue to blacklist its athletes.
If the aim is to cut our leading athletes off and to show that the Russian sport does not develop or even is dwindling, the Ministry of Sports and Russia's National Olympic Committee must analyze and make a balanced decision.
If the president of the country has to step in, then things really must be serious. Sebastian Coe's latest quip is that things could change. Is that an indication of a U-turn? Well, the ball is clearly in the court of the Olympics Committee. Will it succumb and change the rules, or will they ignore Putin?
Well, we've come to the end of the show, and for today's last serve, we leave you with a heartwarming gesture. Since the day belonged to the Aussies thanks to the IPL auction, we want to end the show with Australian all-rounder Mitchell Marsh, who did something very special at the end of the match, making a young fan very, very happy. Take a look. That about does it here on Firstpost today. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast as we did bringing it to you. But thanks so much for joining in. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to